By far the worst thing we do to males, by making them feel they have to be hard, is that we leave them with very fragile egos. Chimando negocia dici. Today, I will introduce you to toxic masculinity, a topic that has remained untold and unexplained. For the past decade, we have chose to raise boys in a very macho-like way. We have taught them to always put their big boy pants on despite the situation, and to always put their true, genuine feelings aside and act tough without care. Growing up in a Hispanic household, I saw this problem quite often. Boys were always raised to act tough and superior, and they were even taught that house chores were not for boys. There's no doubt in my mind that it has caused situations they now face in their lives, such as depression, being alone, family, relationship problems. I would like to address this topic in two ways. What does toxic masculinity mean to boys themselves, and how this can harm them? What does toxic masculinity mean to boys themselves? Toxic masculinity means not being allowed to portray their true feelings. They must show an attitude and actions to fit in as masculine. What I've come to notice is that all these kids are rehearsing and projecting. They're trying it on, rehearsing their masculinity. Tom Winton. They are raised to put aside their real emotions, ignoring their vulnerable and lovable emotions. They are expected to build a character that has been seen very normal in the past decades. Masculinity to boys means their way of living. They must go out into the world and face situations with a tough character, forcing them to put their true feelings aside despite the outcome. The outcome is toxic, harming them physically and psychologically. How does toxic masculinity harm them? This type of behavior can really impact men psychologically and physically. But in order not to break this macho-like behavior, they deny to look for help, causing them greater harm. A study co-authored by Michigan State University sociologists found that men who endorse hegemonic ideals of masculinity or toxic masculinity can become socially isolated as they age, impacting their health, well-being, and overall happiness. When men become entitled to this way of being, they isolate themselves, causing them to lose loved ones, fall in depression, get involved in unhealthy habits. It can really change their life. Toxic masculinity has become a culture, a lifestyle young boys are expected to follow. Instead of helping young boys grow into strong men, it is causing them harm mentally and physically. Every human being, man or woman, is gracious, vulnerable, and lovable, and they should be free to express these emotions without being judged. I decided to create a force field analysis, and the goal is to stop promoting toxic masculinity and making it seem as it's normal and making it seem very normal for boys while they're growing up. So the driving force is that it makes them have better mental health. When they grow up, they have healthier relationships with their family and with other loved close ones, and their well-being, which is probably the most important because they could fall into depression, and their well-being should be really important so they could feel better with themselves and they could feel like they fit in without being to be forced to fall into this type of behavior. And restraining forces would be they become part of culture, and since they feel like they have to fit in culturally in society, that drives them to fall into this type of behavior, and they won't fit in as masculine. And as I believe boys are very big on that, they always want to look masculine, feel masculine, act tough, and they tend to fall in this behavior to make them seem as what society wants to see in boys. They want to be tough, and they fall in this depression because that's what they want, to be known as tough, as masculine. They don't, society has become very judgy with this type of behavior, and they just want to fit in, making them fall into this type of behavior. And that's all.